AI is the word for artificial intelligence. It means that, so what is it based on? Artificial intelligence is intelligence gathered from different sources. So actually, I would use the word crowd intelligence, cloud, as in crowd, as in collect all the intelligence from other people and then put it together. Somebody who takes learnings from other places. So an artificial intelligence could be also called like an assistant, like a person who's able to learn from different places, collect all the information intelligently, and then be able to present it. So how did information get collected in the first place is the most important thing. So internet as it started was a library that different people published articles. They put articles up online, and whenever you want to, you could search and you could find those articles. So that was the first level. That was where somebody published a book and you could read books or you could read articles. Of course, books have a limitation in terms of how much you can read, in terms of how much people let you read certain excerpts of that book. So Google Books was one of the first who let you read, but still it's limited to a few pages. The next thing came to articles, where people wrote articles and you could read those articles easily, from any part of the world. And then from there it moved to blogs, where people started creating their own repositories of information, wherein they started writing and people were then reading. So it was easier that you could just write what you wanted, and if whatever you wrote was something which people connected with, then more and more readers would be there and you'd be validated as a writer. From there it's writing. Now writing is what? Text. Text is what? It started from US, so the most of the text was in English. So most of it was related to documentation published in England, another place for English text, and America. So these were the two places primarily where content was being derived, and therefore whatever you read was driven from that point of view. And if you were to find stuff about Goa, it would be difficult because a lot of that stuff is available but not published online. And most of it would be in a different kind of language, say Konkani or something like that. And that's where the difficulty is in terms of finding more information which is local in terms of where you are. It's dependent on how much information about your place is published online. So that was what we call the library information which is put up. And then the second part is, how do you reference that to you? I mean, if you live in Goa, you're not looking for information about birds in Australia or New Zealand or San Francisco. You're looking for information about birds in your area. Therefore, you need to have a database of birds which are relevant to you in your area, which are most frequently seen. And therefore, when you see a bird and you want to know more about it, what is its cat call, bird call, and how does it look, it becomes much easier if there's something which references the data which you're familiar with. And then this brings us to the concept of big data. Now, big data is the concept of collecting more and more information from around the world and then making it more and more relevant to the person in front, which means that somebody has to be able to filter it to know what is more relevant to you. And the most biggest data in the world is a map. And how is a map created? A map is, first of all, what we call georeference, that it takes the reference of the shape of the earth to show locations on the earth. And that's where technologies like GPS came in, wherein you have satellites which are fixed with their location compared to earth. So you're able to exactly pinpoint where is your location. And once you know your location, you are then able to find information which should be tagged to you. So you're able to find more information relevant to you. Now a map is a map, and on top of a map is something called layers. Layers are relevant information which is tagged to that location. For example, if I had a layer about hospitals, so if I had a layer of hospitals, then it would show all the hospitals in my relevant area if I click that layer. Then another layer, say, about cafes or vegan cafes. So that is the information which then gets superimposed on top of that. And now the more important challenge is whatever is written online. First it was text, then it was images, then it is videos. How do you relate all of that with your location? And that is why Google keeps asking you for your location, so that based on that it knows, okay, fine, he's in this location or she's in this location. So this is the information which is relevant to him or her. If they are looking for a cafe, if they are looking for movies, if you want to know movies which are showing in the theater near you, it should know which location you are in. Then it will show you the theaters which are near to you, and then you choose one, and then you know which movies are available in that location. So Yahoo was one of the first ones who had a bot, I forgot the name, but where you could search. But then if you're not able to relate to the person's location, you're not able to actually show the right information for that person. So that's how it moves. So it's about collecting the right information, garbage in, garbage out. If you are asking certain information where enough published information, relevant expert information is not available, you will not be able to get the right information. Therefore, your AI is some kind of spider which keeps searching for information in different places, and then based on what is written, it tries to draw the relevance to you based on whatever information it finds. So, for example, Goa is a tourist place. Most of the information written about Goa is written by tourists. So, a lot of it will be from a tourist bent of mind rather than a local perspective. So, for that local perspective to come in, you need more and more local information to be put up. And then it's about what is the way of thinking, what is the culture of the assistant AI, how does it think. If it's thinking from a, say, different point of view, now go and state of mind is what, how can I get something relevant to me in terms of what food is locally available, what are the birds, how do I take care of plants in my area. So that is a ecosystem. That's about what is it that I am more concerned about, that how can I provide a service to the person who's asking me questions. So that is relevant to different places. So before you use AI, you should be able to set the relevance that I am looking at things from this point of view, from a Goan point of view, or from a Dubai point of view. So you have to mention your relevant context, and then it's able to feed the right information to you. So in a sense, it is like a filter. If you're not able to create a context in terms of what you're looking for, then you're not able to get the right output in terms of what it is. So for you to be able to tell AI what you want and to be able to get it the way you want it, you should be able to understand from where it is pulling its information, and if its information is correct, then move ahead with that. If it's wrong, now for example, if I asked about a certain person and I didn't say what does he do, then it's possible that with the same name there will be somebody else, and it's reverting to that person's information rather than the person I'm really looking for. So where is the information being collected from is the most important thing. And therefore, it's very important, if you're going to use AI, try to make a custom AI. With, like for example, in Google Gemini, there's something called Gems, where you can tell the AI how you want things, what you're looking for, what is your frame of reference, how you want it to think. Do you want it to be more honest? Do you want it to be more from a earth point of, thinking about the environment? Because if you keep thinking about it, right now when you read stuff online, and everybody's worried about AI moving into this, destroy the earth kind of thing. But the more intelligent the AI gets, it will understand that without the earth it cannot live. So you have to think from a nature perspective, that if I'm not in if I'm not being eco-friendly with everybody else, if I'm not thinking about the plants, if I'm not thinking about the animals, if I'm not thinking about whatever food I have to waste, if I'm putting it in the right place or I'm dumping it someplace where it just gets wasted, if I'm not thinking that, then my world will not grow. So AI is not such a dangerous thing. It's just about the frame of reference. If you're only going to think about how I make more and more money, of course, you're going to try to exhaust all the resources and then run somewhere else where you get more and more resources. But if you're thinking, how do I live in a proper kind of ecology where everybody is good with everybody else, which is typically the Goan state of mind. then you're able to create that kind of blessed culture wherein you're able to think more, okay, this is what I have to do and this is what I need to do to keep everything in balance. If I'm worried about not enough rain, I have to think how much water have I put in my groundwater table. And if I think all of that, then I'm able to understand that if I train my AI in that sense to start thinking from an ecological perspective, from something where everything is in balance, then it's liable to give me answers which are more in balance than something where it is thinking. Because the more you train it, the more it's going to think. And if you train it to think from a balanced perspective, then it's going to give answers from a balanced perspective, and its thought is going to move in that direction. So that is where AI can evolve to a good point of view. For example, if it's an AI for Goa, it should be able to think about the Goan culture. It should be able to think about Kazan lands, how we are able to create a balance between rivers and oceans, and able to separate the water and able to then grow different crops. So if you're able to understand all of that, where Goa came from, you are in a very good position to be able to take it to where Goa should be. So this is the thoughts with AI, and that's my hack for today. Try and create your own AI agent which thinks from your frame of reference, from your thought, in terms of how you want things to be and how you want outputs to be. If you think like that, we have a better AI, we have a better world.